Let's get weird! COTA! Let's go! Drivers, start your engine! Drivers, start your engines!
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Remember when I told all my drivers, reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time? Drivers, start your engines!
And gentlemen, start your engines!
And welcome back to the Green White Checkered Podcast. I'm Andrew. I'm joined with Zach and Austin this week. Joe is taking a little alone time. Said he's tired.
Alone time.
He's always tired.
He's sick of us.
Yeah. He gave up on us. He's just like, you all are dead to me. But we got some COTA recap. We got the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, Cup Series, all for you to recap. We got some news. We got some Richmond stuff. We got some bets. We got some OnlyFans. Man, I don't even know what else we got, but we're going to hit it here. We're going to start with the Truck Series. Right off the bat, I'm going to say it. Zach and I have been talking about this kid for a while. Connor Zilish starts off winning the pole for his first truck race.
And then immediately blows it.
Yeah, he blows turn one. But he still ended up what? Third, fourth, something like that. Like
he could have won that race.
Day.
I just felt like he just kept anything that could go wrong for him just kept going wrong. Like did he have a drive through? Did he have a pass through?
He had multiple pass throughs.
And then he had a run in with
cut tire.
Ty Majeski, cut tire.
Yep.
And it's just whatever could happen happened to him, and apart from the truck actually just blowing up, but he still fought back. It was impressive.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where he finished. I know it was a top 10, which is impressive after multiple drive-throughs, blowing turn one, he blew a tire apparently there, then another cut tire. Like that's amazing. Like you ruined your day 4 or 5 times and you battled your way back. But
yeah, it was something. It was something.
I'm impressed though. Race. Like he showed speed. We're gonna see him in the 88 car on the Xfinity Series at Watkins Glen and beyond. I think it's like Watkins Glen, Kansas, Homestead, and something else.
Oh yeah.
But I'm interested to see what he does on ovals. I know he went after the truck race to run ARCA. Didn't go well for him there. He ended up getting turned there. But I mean, I'm impressed with the kid. You know, you race Saturday in Houston or Austin or what? It's Austin. And then you fly to wherever the ARCA race is and run that race. Like, good for him. But Corey Heim gets the win for the race. Pretty dominant race for him. Honestly, pretty impressed with his run. Pretty impressed with the team. Just a strong truck. I kind of expected, the 38 FRM entry to be up there. He really wasn't. And I don't know. I was honestly kind of shocked that Heim showed that kind of speed. Any other takeaways? Zach, what do you think of it?
I mean, it was a good race. I just like the stages kill it for me because you're talking 10 lap stages. It's so annoying, especially like that second stage where they run some caution laps to get into the second stage. Like it's dumb. But we'll talk about it later. But I hate stages at road courses. I think it's stupid. But there's also a counter to that, which we'll get into later.
Awesome.
But other than that, good for a trucker. I will say I'm always the trucks suck. I don't watch truck races. I've watched every truck race this year, and it's been pretty solid. I've been pretty impressed with the truck series this year.
I've been trying to tell you they're decent. Like there are some shit shows. Don't get me wrong. Like we kind of saw it at Daytona and that, but the races are okay. They put on a good show.
Yeah. But I mean, there's some weekends I'd say they were the best. Like I'd say Vegas, I think they were probably the best.
Yeah.
I think that was the best race of the weekend. So yeah, they've been doing good. It's still tough dealing with the D team of Fox Broadcasting.
Oh yeah.
Like A team Fox sucks. Now you're going to the D team. That's still not great to deal with. But the racing itself has been pretty good. I've been pretty impressed with it.
Yep. Austin?
Did not watch trucks. Because I've not been able to catch a truck race much this season. I've had a lot of busy Friday nights, so have not had a lot of time to watch them. But good to hear it wasn't a crap show. I feel like that happens a lot of times in the trucks where it's just like constant wrecking, a lot of like kind of ARCA reminiscent. So good to hear that it wasn't. Doesn't seem like it was quite that this week. So that was nice to hear for sure.
Yeah. So the only other takeaway I really have from the truck race was Marco Andretti's rear end just fell out. And I'm not talking like parts of it. I'm talking the whole thing.
It's gone.
I think it was the front stretch. And you
it was going into whatever that back
before the long stretch, like after the S's, you come down the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
I knew it was
11
after
or
straightaway.
I don't
I think
know.
it's turn 11. That's where I sat when I went to Formula One. I think it's turn 11.
We'll call it the back straight.
Quick flex.
Yeah.
But
It's phenomenal.
dude, like you just see the back end of the truck jump up and the rear end rolling away. Like I've never seen anything like it. And
Crazy.
like I wanted to go, okay, maybe they just left some bolts loose. He was involved with the previous caution or the wreck that caused the caution. So man, it was, I don't know, that's entertaining to me. Made for some good memes.
Two things that made me mad about that. One, they kept cutting away. I wanted to see the NASCAR officials and track workers get that rear end going into the flatbed. I wanted to see how they were going to handle that. I was watching it in Discord with Gary. Me and him were watching it together. We were just like you saw them walk over. They're kind of like, what do you do with this? I really wanted to see how that played out, but they kept cutting the cameras away. The other thing
I roll it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to see,
do you roll it up or do you like 3 or
that's what I
4
would've
guys
tried to
pick
do.
it up or?
I mean, you got that jersey barrier there, whatever it is. I mean, they're right on the apex of the corner, so just see if you can roll behind there or something. But I'm sure that would have been funny to watch. The other thing I didn't like is they red flagged the race for that. I thought that was
I did see. Yeah,
and I can't help but think they did that because there was a lot of guys, and this is how Connor Zilic could have gotten back into it. I think because he had to take an extra pit stop after he cut a tire or hurt his tire, or whatever, with Ty Majeski. A lot of guys were really close on fuel and like talking about running out. So I feel like they red flagged it to save those guys. A bunch of guys like I think Corey Heim was in that position. I think most of your top 5 was in that position. Tanner Gray, whichever one, 17 truck.
Yeah,
he was really close. So I was kind of annoyed at that because it's like, well, I mean, that's the strategy you chose and that's where you landed, and you have to be prepared. So if you get burned, kind of thing.
It's like that's the consequences of that strategy.
Right.
That's why some of the guys, that could be half the reason some of the guys pitted later. I mean, not
Right.
half, but like at least part of the reason. So now you're ultimately punishing those guys who made the right strategy call, by luck or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think
I didn't love that because then I think Connor Zilic could have actually ended up winning that race because he did pit and he probably had enough fuel for the end of it. So, and there's no reason to red flag it. I mean, it's 5-6 minute pace lap. And it's just a rear end housing that was off the track anyway. So I don't know. I didn't love that call.
it had some fluid on the track, but yeah, I agree. It's not a red flag situation.
You also have 12 minutes on that track for if they're at pace speed. You got plenty of time to like put some speedy dry down. I mean, obviously you don't necessarily want stewards on track what cars are moving, but I mean, in that case, when they're under caution that far, I don't know. I don't think I felt kind of superfluous just hearing about it.
Yeah, I didn't love that.
But overall, I mean, pretty solid race for, the only road course race for trucks.
That's wild.
Yeah. What?
That is wild. Only one. I mean, I get they're on a reduced schedule, but it feels weird.
I feel like a Watkins Glen would be decent for him. A little bit faster. I don't know. Still a smaller track.
Didn't they used to do Mid Ohio too? What happened to that?
Yep. No idea.
Weird. Yeah,
that always had some good finishes. That last, 2 corners there.
Yeah.
Do they run? They don't run dirt anywhere anymore, do they?
Ooh, I don't know.
No, I don't believe so.
They don't do that Knoxville thing anymore. That track sucked for him anyway. I feel like
don't think so. They ran ran Bristol, and that was pretty much it.
I thought they did Bristol and not. Well, now I gotta look at this.
What was Eldora, and then I think they replaced Eldora with Bristol Dirt.
They did run Knoxville 1 year.
Yeah.
So I thought they replaced Eldora with Knoxville, and then also ran Bristol Dirt.
Yeah,
once that became a thing. But I mean, I could be wrong. Again, I don't ever pay attention to trucks.
If you know, I didn't hate the Cup cars on dirt. I didn't hate Bristol Dirt. Like maybe put it somewhere else, but still, I didn't hate it. But regardless, I feel like if there's any series that's going to run dirt, it should be the trucks, because the whole thing is it's stock car. You're kind of exhibiting what these cars can do, and a truck meant to go off road. So I feel like that's something they should bring back for trucks, is running on dirt, especially if they're only running one road course. Like then a lot of the track variety is gone. So I feel like you need to throw the dirts back on the truck. Yeah. Throw the trucks back on the dirt. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of a tangent, but just on the whole thing of only one road course, lack of variety, I guess, with the schedule. But I don't know. Bring back a dirt track for the trucks at least.
I love them at Eldora. That Mud Summer Classic, that was a cool thing they did. But then
that's so cool. It's like the one, like whenever I wasn't watching a huge amount of NASCAR, that was like the one truck race I would tune into, was the Eldora race.
Yeah. And then, I mean, they raced so good there. It was such a good event. It was awesome. And then cool. I don't know, NASCAR and Tony Stewart decided not to like each other anymore.
Yeah.
Tony Stewart and oh my God, I'm totally spaced on his name.
Ray Everham.
Ray Everham. That's it. Totally spaced. Ray Everham sat down, had a drink, and talked about doing SRX, and
we're gonna make our own racing series.
NASCAR decided
Blackjack and hookers. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. We'll talk about that a little bit during the news. Yeah. Without the blackjack.
Oh.
But
anyway, Xfinity race.
Yeah.
Are we done with trucks?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I think I'm done with trucks. Let's go to the Xfinity race. Sorry, I thought about some news I wanted to add to the list, and then stuff.
We'll hit that later.
Yeah. Xfinity. Larson sneaks out a win over SVG and Austin Hill. Yep. No, that's what you got. Just yep.
That was fun. Yay! Kyle Larson wins. Good for him.
Man,
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said you didn't watch the end.
I watched. I don't know, probably like the first half or something. Then I had to head out.
I watched the last lap and a half, I think, because Joe made some comment about it, and I was like, "Oh, let me tune into this." Pretty interesting. Pretty good finish. That was all I watched the Xfinity race.
That first stage though was pretty wild. Like seeing AJ and SVG just completely check out on the field.
Dude,
like they were gone. I think they were like, when I was watching, I think they were like close, either 10 seconds or close to 10 seconds up on the field.
Dang.
They were just out.
SVG, man, I was impressed. Like we talked about it last week, you know, he's not got everything in his favor here where he did at Chicago. So it's like he's coming in, all these other guys have raced, or at least in Xfinity Series, a good portion of them have raced COTA, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of expected him like top 10. I could see it. He put on a clinic for a while, and if that late caution didn't come out, he's winning that race. But they did get a late caution. Somehow, freaking Larson makes it from like 23rd to, I don't know, it was like top 10. Caution comes out. He then ends up in turn 1 taking the lead. Like, what the fuck? Like, I couldn't believe it. But no, I thought the ending was great. I thought the race was overall pretty good. I don't know. I was honestly shocked with SVG. I really was. But let's talk about the finish. I know Drake just said he watched the last lap and a half. Zach,
I did see
heard it.
Highlights of it. I know enough to know what happened.
Yeah. So we got some beef between Austin Hill and SVG. Mostly Austin Hill. I don't think SVG really cares. Yeah.
Austin Hill just like week after week just proves himself to be a personal clown show. Like, dude, just absolute. Like every time I see him in an interview, I like him even less. It's just every time He's complaining about something that he does anyway. Like what really said, like I was kind of neutral and I said, hey, like I don't really have an opinion, like didn't hate the guy, whatever. And then the whole thing with Sheldon Creed last season, like it, instantly made me dislike him. And every interview since then, I'm like, okay, this guy just sucks. Like he was mad that SVG used him up in the last lap, which is what you kind of do in the last lap. And also right after using him up in turn one, of absolutely shoving him off the track. And then he does it right back. Oh, this guy just doesn't race. Like, all right, dude, like, please pick a lane. It's so frustrating when guys like that will make a move on someone and they get so mad when it's done to them. And it's like, just pick a lane. Either be a clean driver and then get mad when someone does that, or race hard and race again. Like, I don't think it's a dirty driver doing something like that on the last lap, but then just like take it if it happens back to you, just call it good racing. You know, I don't know. Like, I get being mad in the moment. Like, I mean, coming from an iRacer, I obviously get what these guys are going through. So,
right.
And you can do that.
Practically
kind of
pro.
Right, exactly. I mean, you run someone tight and someone runs you tight back. Like, just get up. This guy's right up on my door. What's he doing? So I get it, but it's also like you can't just constantly complain when you constantly drive like that, and then someone does it right back to you. It's like, come on, dude, like grow up. The worst.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. You know, you push them into turn one, you know, do the little bump and run move, and then you get mad when he does the same thing back to you. Granted, SVG did hit him a little harder, caved in the front nose of his car, but bro, you hit him first. You know, once you did that, the gloves are off. Yeah, exactly. He's got the green light. Like, he could have dumped him, everything, and SVG's in the right to me. So I mentioned to Zach, I think Austin Hill's getting Joey Logano level to me, to where every week when I see him get wrecked, I'm happy now.
So yeah, his stock for me definitely started going down at Martinsville and just been on a downward trend ever since. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, again, like what Drake said, if I get it, if you race SVG clean and he moved you, I get being mad, but you didn't. You hit him and you gave him the green light. And you gotta remember, SVG isn't coming from an open wheel series where they never touch or anything like that. He's coming from V8 supercars, which is very physical. Not all similar to NASCAR. Yeah. So, you know, I'm sure, you know, giving somebody the bumper or moving them out of the way when you need to isn't super foreign to him. You know, so I don't know.
SVG in an interview actually said what Austin Hill did to him in turn one would have been a penalty in supercars.
Really?
So normally SVG would have just let him run up front. Yeah, let him get the penalty. He gets the win. So
then he has a lot of repressed anger from supercars, is what that's telling me.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, like, SVG in supercars is kind of known for being aggressive, bumping people out of the way, stuff like that. So, I mean, he's kind of at home here, I feel like. But
there you go.
Yeah, apparently that is a penalty. I wouldn't have guessed. Like, I don't watch enough supercars.
Wait, what made it a penalty? Just shoving him through a corner?
Avoidable
contact,
I
guess.
Probably something like that.
But then was what he did back also a penalty then?
Correct.
Okay.
But that's the difference in the series. Whereas
I guess it's the difference of like
sat there.
Right. I guess it's the difference of like rubbing up on someone versus forcing them through a corner. Like, that's probably the difference. Like, they are very physical in supercar, but probably not bumping around. Kind of that same moves are probably frowned upon. So not taken away from its physicality at all. Like, it's clearly, you know, again, like door to door trading paint kind of racing, but probably this is probably the difference there and why that'd be a penalty.
They got fenders and I've seen him use them. So I'm sure he's used to.
He's probably like, sweet, now I finally get the opportunity to just
right now. I just
do what I've always wanted to do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Who was it that got the 30-second penalty in that? Was that SVG?
That was
SVG. So he crosses the line in second, but is credited with 27th place.
Yep. How do we? I was going to save this for Cup, but you know, Chase Elliott got nailed too for like that save. How do we feel about?
Did he though?
Track limits. Did he what?
So Chase Elliott, the broadcast showed, you know, he got loose and all that. He went over 2 laps without serving a penalty. Did he ever serve that one?
I'm pretty sure because I think he finished like 20 something.
He spun out at one point.
I don't know. I would assume
Yeah.
he served it.
I don't know. The broadcast talked about it. I never saw him serve it. I'm just saying.
You missed something on a Fox broadcast? I'd find that hard to believe.
I know, right? I was watching the standings for a while. I was just like, he's not serving this shit.
I mean, everybody on all the different podcasts are reacting as if he did serve it, so I'm assuming he had to have. But yeah, so what do we think of that? What do we think of these track limit penalties? Because interestingly enough, I went back and I watched like the 2020. I very quickly watched the 2022 race and 2023 race. And Chase Briscoe actually had an incident in 2022. They had the same rule. I think they policed it differently. Like they had, like, I guess this week they had like some monitoring system for it. They didn't have that. But Chase Briscoe had something, I forget who knocked him off, but he got loose and whatever and cut large, like made a huge cut in one of the S's, and he never got a penalty. NASCAR recognized it, like they showed it on the broadcast, and they said no penalty because he was forced off. Sort of like, I guess the double yellow line rule used to be. Like if you got forced below the yellow line, you were okay. But now I don't think that's the case anymore.
I think, is that not the case anymore?
I don't know. I don't know if it is or isn't. Is it?
I think so. I haven't heard anything otherwise.
But anyway, NASCAR said he was forced off and didn't make him serve the penalty, whereas Chase Elliott had whatever happened and he had to serve a penalty.
Right.
So kind of interesting that there's inconsistencies there in their own penalty system.
First of all, fuck Chase Elliott. No, just kidding.
Joe's not here. We don't.
Yeah.
It's not as fun.
Yeah.
My non-biased thing here is, I think with the penalty system, if we're going to do it, you need to obviously be, everything needs to be the same. Every person that goes off track in the same spot needs to get a penalty. But I do think there needs to be some common thought here to where you saw Chase Elliott get loose. You saw him have to save it. He didn't gain any time. So I think you can give him a pass for this. If not, maybe tell him, hey, fall behind this guy. Like I don't know who, like Josh Berry, whoever was behind him at the time, let that person by, boom, penalty. Or, okay, they have splits, right? They have a time thing. They can see if he gained time. If he did, penalty. I'm fine with that. But just saying, hey, you cut the track, penalty? Like, I don't know. I even a point system, I'd be fine with, where you get, a warning and then maybe a slowdown or something like that, and then a drive-through. But I don't know, man. These drive-throughs are pretty horrendous over the weekend. Like, I think it was like 47 or 48 penalties total on Saturday.
Jeez.
Yeah. It seems like it's such a hard penalty for such a minimal potential gain. Like, I mean, unless somebody's like super egregious and it's going straight through, but I don't know. What do you think, Drake?
I mean, I saw this quote tweet on the on whenever SVG got his penalty, and it said something along the lines of like, no one's more lenient on track limits, and then no one's more harsh on the penalties on track limits. Like 30 seconds for SVG, that's a long time. And drive-through penalty, again, that's going to be a good 30 seconds or somewhere around there. And so that's a long time. We saw it, from 2nd to 27th for SVG. That's crazy. Formula One, they're very strict. You can get off track, warnings, penalties anywhere on the track. But I mean, it's 5 seconds for a penalty there. So 30s just feels pretty insane to me. I mean, not insane, but just feels like a huge amount. Especially for, the one place on track it can happen. So maybe that's why it is so strict. I don't know. I think we could probably revisit that and do something a little bit less. Because again, you're not gaining 30 seconds of time by cutting that, which again, it's not, there's, I forget the vernacular, but there's like the difference between like corrective action and punishment, I guess. Like one, if there's correction where it's like, okay, if you cut the track here, you gain a second. So we're going to give you a 1 second penalty. But, it's also like, okay, well, you also broke the rules. So it's a 5 second penalty, even though you only gained half a second or a second or whatever. But again, at 30 seconds, you're not gaining anywhere near 30 seconds. And that even with the whole punishment thing in mind, that seems extremely excessive. So that's my long thoughts on it.
Yeah, it just seems sort of like excessive to basically ruin somebody's day because they cut the corner marginally one time.
It is a day ruiner. Like that's a complete, no matter what point of the race, it's going to be a complete strategy change. It's
right.
Apart from just losing the massive amount of positions you're going to lose for a 30-second or a drive-through penalty, complete day ruiner. I mean, if you're in first, you go back to 25th because of a drive-through, nuts, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you put 2 tires over the line, 2 extra tires over the line. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, I think at like the Roval, they sort of do the same sort of thing, don't they? Like they have basically a very strict policy on cutting the chicanes there. Like even if you wreck through it, you still have to stop, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, one, I think we should apply some common sense to certain things. Chase Elliott, as much as I like to rag on him and like to wish his day get ruined, like he clearly messed up and had an issue. Like he wasn't trying to cut the corner to gain time. It's funny they hit him for that, but they didn't black flag him for the loose bumper in 2021. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well,
or was that 2020? Whatever year that was.
I think it was
2020.
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah. So, where was it going? Oh, COTA, or not COTA?
Words.
Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte. What the hell is it called?
Roval. Andrew's birthday, and he's been celebrating, so he might.
We're gonna sing at the end of the podcast.
There's been a few drinks. But yeah, the Roval last year. I mean, we saw. I think it was Eric Jones get into Bubba Wallace and spin Bubba Wallace, and he ended up getting a penalty. Had to stop even after he continued. He went from. I mean, he was running pretty well, and dropped almost like dead last because of that. And it wasn't anything he had to do. Eric Jones locked up the brakes, spun sideways, and hit him going to the chicane. So, Bubba, it sucks for Bubba at that point. It's not his fault; it's somebody else's. We shouldn't be given a penalty for that.
No,
it's not like he chose to do that. It's not like
getting wrecked is already your penalty. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And same thing for Chase Elliott. Like his little stumble and correcting the car, whatever time he lost there is more than enough penalty for whatever little time he gained from the cut. So I don't know. I think this might be a complicated solution, but I think you should just do like, if somebody's actually cutting it, give them like a time add-on to the end of the race, like a 1 second each time. Because like there's no way that little bit you're gaining a second. So I think a 1 second penalty would already be, more than what you're gaining, kind of going on what Drake said, like not so that you gain 2/10, so you have a 2/10 penalty. No, you still get a punishment for breaking the rule, but it's not like, it's not insane. And it's so funny to me. Like they're so strict about just grazing that green line in the S's, but then you go to turn 8 and digging into the dirt and kicking dirt up, like they're dropping a wheel off the track, and it's like that's okay. Like it was just like the visuals of that just is very strange to me. So I don't know. And even I hate to suggest the idea about bringing curbs back, but I mean maybe that's a solution. You put some sort of curbing in there that keeps guys off it. I know we don't like turtles for other reasons, but I don't know. I'd hate to see a guy like SVG have his day completely ruined. A good second place finish because he was half an inch over the green line. It's just sort of silly.
Not only that, that's a colleague ride, and
yeah,
you've said it for a while. That team's struggling. That team probably has no money, and I think AJ also got a penalty. He ended up 10th, and then you take a second place away from them. Like that team needs it. That's money in their pocket that they need right now. We see him struggling everywhere. Josh Williams finished dead last again. Like,
yeah, he's having a tough time,
dude. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you say. Like that team needs money, and you just took a lot of it away from them for something that, again, that penalty is way too harsh. But
Right. Did SVG finish in second place because he cut those S's
no,
right
he was
there?
going to finish second no matter what. Like,
Imagine if he had won that race and then
right,
they
that's
called
the other.
Do you think they'd
that's the other
call it
side.
if he won?
No,
I don't know.
So
think
I
they
hate
would've.
to.
I think
hate
if
to
somebody
be that
points it
guy.
out, maybe.
I'm going to be that guy. Brett
Be that guy.
Griffin posted on Twitter 2 pictures of cars in the same race. Well, they're in the same exact spot. They're both off track. One got a penalty, one didn't.
Right.
Like, be consistent. If you're going to do it, be consistent. Call everybody. Or just call nobody. Like, I don't know, man. That's where it's hard for me because I didn't go back and look. But did that other car that didn't get the penalty, where did they finish? Did they finish better than, say, SVG, who was running up front all day, who would have won the race if there wasn't a late caution?
Right.
You know, it's, I don't know.
It's still a judgment call. And it's annoying. So I mean, I don't know. I hate it because I mean, then you look at it like, okay, so if they do the turtles solution, and Chase Elliott has that same moment where he cuts to the dog or cuts to the S's, then he's probably tearing up his car, ruining his day anyway, because of how those things are. So it's like, I don't know, is that really the right solution or not? But I hate the judgment call aspect, and I hate the severity of it.
Yeah. Like I said, I feel like there's something that NASCAR can do to where they can say, hey, let this driver by or something like that, to where, you minimize the loss. You penalize the guy, you make the car behind him pass him. What are you gaining by, cutting the course? Not even half a second? Especially in Chase Elliott's, like,
when you're in a line like that going through the S's, you can't really see where you're going anyway. You're following the car in front of you. Like, so they're all just snaking along. We've, again, just throwing back the iRacing reference, like when you're on Daytona or something like that, you can't, and you're bump drafting somebody, you can't really see where the corner is exactly. You kind of have to look through the guy in front of you.
Or the classic Monza
trick.
Lead him into the wall. That's the best.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know. They're all just sort of running in a line. And I think really the one you should be the most scrutinizing of would be the leader, because he's probably the one that stands the most or would gain the most by cutting anybody who's actually leading, because then he's actually likely increasing any sort of gap he has. But there's really no passing zones there in the S's or after. So it's not like you're positioning yourselves. It's just, I don't know. It's very weird. They got to look at it and do something better, because I just don't think this is it.
Yeah, Connor Zilic said that too. Like, his penalties came when he was following somebody to where he couldn't see really where he was. And, especially in the truck series where you have a rookie first-time guy, I believe it, but I don't know. It's the problem is we're leaving it in NASCAR's hands.
Connor Zilic is pretty talented road racer, as it turns out, too. So,
I mean, he's only won the 24 hours of Daytona and the 12 hours of Sebring. I mean, and some
small flex
Mazda MX-5 Cups, and I don't know, man. I'm excited for this kid, but
Anyway, Cup race.
So I'm going to lead into it with the whole thing what we're talking about here. So we're talking about turtles, adding them and stuff like that. We already saw damaged cars as it is. We saw Michael McDowell go out with a power steering issue because the track was that rough. We saw drivers after the race laying down on pit road because it was that rough on them. Is adding turtles going to be you can't. There's no way.
I don't know. That's just like a suggestion, just because I don't know what else you do.
Yeah.
Maybe you add some aggressive rumble strips.
Spike
something.
Strips.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to keep them up.
Like something that really unsettles the car and is like really rough, and I don't know.
IEDs.
Maybe not like a
landmines.
Perfect. I love it.
Portable sand trap.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the solution is. There's got to be a better one though. And I know going into the whole week, I think it was Wednesday, NASCAR sent out a thing saying you're to stay on the track everywhere. And then they ended up rescinding that and just being that, what was it, turn 4 to 5 or something like that. You can't cut.
I think it's like 4 to 6 or 7.
Okay.
I
So
think turn 8 is where they were actually dropping the tire into the grass and throwing dirt up on the track.
yeah.
So immediately after the no cut zone, they're cutting the most egregiously. It's great.
So I don't know if that's something, the track just can't handle. There's not enough NASCAR officials. I know at places like Road America, there's cameras on every single turn. Because when we went there for motorcycle racing, that, if you wrecked in a turn, they'd throw a caution instantly. Like, it was pretty freaking sweet. I'm not gonna lie. They knew when somebody wrecked, but I don't know if COTA's the same. I feel like they gotta be.
They talked
they're a
about how
Formula
they
One
have
track.
Mike Joy was talking about how they have some Spanish company. I don't know why he pointed
There's
out
like
Spanish company. I think it's national. He's like Formula One uses them, and they have a off-track detection system that they use. So then NASCAR gets the notification, then they review the footage to see if it's actually an off-track. So there's like a human element. It's not just like fully automated. It's like, oh, was this a mistake or not? Which I don't hate. I mean, like, obviously the human element adds a sense of error, but it's also, it's better than just they detected they were off track, instant penalty, and then you look back at it and it was like something that shouldn't have been a penalty. I don't know, but yeah, they do have some kind of system like that at COTA.
What if this is probably a terrible idea?
Probably.
I've been drinking a little vodka too. I'm celebrating Andrew's birthday, so
yeah.
Cheers. What if we just cut the S's out? So I'm looking at the track map right now where they come out of turn 2, and just before they go into turn 3, you could have a straight shot from there coming back in at turn 7, and then turn 8 would be a hard braking zone, which could create a passing zone.
Damn, Zach hates COTA so much he's trying to completely change the layout. That's wild.
I'm just saying, like, do the S's create any actual passing or racing? Would they be a huge loss? I'm just asking the question, just looking at the map. You would eliminate all that cut track bullshit. It'd be gone. You could potentially create a hard braking zone and a passing zone.
I mean, if we're going to argue that the only parts of a track we're keeping are the passing zones and the zones that create good racing, then we're going to remove 90% of half the tracks out there. I mean,
perfect.
The S's are part of the track because it's like a rhythm section. Like, you got to cut in at the right time, otherwise you complete like driving it with any car on a sim. If you miss that first S, that first turn into the S's, you're just absolutely your entire rhythm screwed up for the whole rest of it. So it's like a skill section. You know what I mean? I don't think that.
I don't disagree.
I don't think cutting it out's gonna. I mean, yeah, I would add a hard braking zone and a passing zone, but I mean, I don't think it's worth.
But what do fans actually want to watch? Do they want to watch somebody slalom through the S's, or they want to watch passing? Because I would argue you had a good skill set driven race on Sunday. And then if you look at the Gluck poll, which is obviously the barometer for how a race is received. But if you look at it, this is the worst scored COTA race we've had. So
I mean, here's my thing though.
It's really weird. Like we're so it's tough because like like I said at the start of this, I'm a big fan of no stages at road courses. And there's a lot of people out there that'll say we are big fans of no stages at road courses. But the only cautions you had Sunday were the stage breaks. So you had a lot of green flag racing, which means it got strung out. You didn't have your chaos in turn 1, which everybody said last year was awful. But yet this race all over Twitter was boring. It's crap. We don't like COTA now. Like, it's just so weird to me how we say we like this stuff. We want long runs. We want strategy. We want driver skill to matter. And then we get it, and then it was boring and didn't have a lot of racing. We didn't enjoy it.
I mean, I don't know. I think in my mind, the reason that half the strategy was screwed up because of stage caution. So, like, I mean, even I feel like Larry was talking about this. Like, hey, you can make it, 5 laps past the stage break, and then you can split this race into thirds. But who's gonna not pit under the caution? Like, I don't know. It's just it felt like that was a huge screw up. And yeah, we say we want this stuff, but I mean, I don't think we have to change the tracks just for pure viewership sakes. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, it's more of a larger argument, not just the track. It's just more of a larger argument about what do we actually want as race fans. And
I don't
to
think
that
we know. I think we complain about freaking everything that happens
we
all the
do.
time.
It's phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
what I'm driving at here is the more I have to deal and listen to what people are saying on Twitter and how they respond to things, the more I get NASCAR just being like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just gonna do whatever. Because to your point about the stages ruining the strategy, you're right. But then you go back to Watkins Glen and Indy, which were pretty much green the whole way and allowed for strategy to happen. Those races were so poorly received by people that NASCAR immediately that year said we're bringing back stages at the next road course. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, what's the answer? What do we as fans want? Because it seems like a lot of the times we say we want this, and then we
So
get it, and then we're like,
it-
this sucks.
So here's my thought. We watched Bristol. We saw the tire make it a good race, even though it was a little overkill, right?
Sure.
This is where we look at it and we go, this is where we need horsepower. And maybe a softer or a rear tire that wears a little bit more to where we see guys burn their stuff up and struggle. We saw Christopher Bell stay out after the first stage and do half the second stage on the same tires. And he was leading.
He held off William Byron, who was the two fastest cars of the day were Christopher Bell and William Byron. And
100%.
Bell was able to hold off William Byron for a couple laps there on how old tires, 16 laps, which doesn't seem that long until you consider how long COTA is, and it's a lot of miles on a tire. So yeah.
It's, I don't know, man. Those are the two things. I think a little bit of horsepower and, like I said, just a tire that wears to where we get it to where drivers do have to, save their tires and maybe the throttle. Whereas right now it's just full throttle, take the turn, whatever, miss a turn, downshift. But I'm going to go back a little bit where Zach mentioned the Gluck pole and how this is the lowest, that it's ever been at COTA.
Lower than the rain one.
That's what I'm going to bring up. So the rain one, we race in the rain, and there was a giant wreck, which was honestly awesome but scary at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
But then who won? They gave it to Chase Elliott.
That's true.
But who should have been the real winner? Zach, do you even remember this race?
I remember.
It should have been Kyle Busch.
God damn it,
Kyle Busch. Yeah. Everybody's spinning out, wrecking. The rain's so bad. They go a lap of people just spinning out like crazy. Kyle Busch pits. And then as soon as Chase Elliott takes the lead, race over because of
it's
rain.
suddenly too wet out.
Right.
Yep.
Can't race anymore.
Bummer. So guess what? Good ratings. Second year, Ross Chastain with the whole last lap pool shot with the AJ and Bowman.
Heck yeah. That was a great.
Good ratings, right? That was a great race.
Yeah.
Well,
Tyler Reddick wins last year. Good race.
Yeah, so this is why I went back and looked at these races, because I wanted to understand why this race was so poorly received, and what a lot of those races had. At least the main ones I looked at was just 22 and 23, just because they're next gen. I think comparing anything Gen 6 to this, as far as is it good or bad, is kind of pointless in my mind.
Yeah.
So I was just looking at the 22 and 23 race, and what both of them had a lot of was natural cautions. 2022, you had a lot of cars just stopping. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was new parts and pieces and they were just failing or whatever, but there was a lot of cars that were just dead on track that would bring out the caution. So you had a lot of restarts, and the restarts were crazy because they had the different restart zone. So you had that 4-5Y going into turn one, which we didn't really have as much because they moved the restart zone back. 2022 was sort of similar. I think there was good racing too, from what I remember. I had an Excel sheet with my notes in it, but I don't know. In both races, I didn't feel like at least stage one was all that different than the 2024 race. They were very similar. One car just kind of got out in the lead and sort of checked out, and it was really relying on cautions and stuff like that after that to bring the field back together and sort of force close racing is what I saw. Because in the latter half of both of those races, they had stage cautions. Well, last year didn't, but they had 2022 had stage cautions as well as natural cautions, and 2023 had a rash of cautions for some things. I can't remember.
Yeah. Well,
So-
we had the tire issue. What was it? What was the first year of the next gen? 22, right?
Uh-huh.
I know we had multiple cars stop with flat tires in 22, and last year we had a couple big wrecks with like what was it, Jimmy and stuff like that. I think that was the first lap with Jimmy, but
there was a wreck early, and then I wish I could find my notes.
Last year we had the shit show of like what 2 or 3 green white checkers, I think.
Yes,
And that's why we changed the starting area, restart zone, whatever they call it. So I don't know. How do we feel about the new restart zone? How did you feel about it this weekend?
Who's you? I don't know who you're talking to.
You, Drake's
Me?
gone.
Oh, is he? Oh, I
Yeah.
was looking for my
He's
sheet.
back now.
I found it. The new restart zone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think exactly what I thought would happen happened. People, like you said, people bitched about the clown show that last year divulged into, and I said it in our Discord. I was like, I can't wait to see everybody complain about how boring this race is because we don't have the zany restarts. And sure enough, here we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought they were a good balance, honestly. Like it was still like 3 or 4 wide at some points going into it. I mean, we only had the 3 starts, but it did fan out, but it wasn't like everyone piling into the corner all at once.
Right. I think that's been my biggest complaint with this race in the past, or one of my bigger complaints, I guess, is just that it can divulge into chaos, especially towards the end. If you get a late restart, it's just like wreck after wreck after wreck in turn 1. It's embarrassing. It's like you're watching a truck race. It's like This is a top class, and obviously it makes sense they are because they're 5-6 wide in this tiny corner, up a hill, like kind of bad visibility going into it. But it's just embarrassing to have that. Yeah, right.
Going from like 25th to 5th or something like that, and taking
Yeah.
out 10 cars on the way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just embarrassing stuff like that. So I think that, like Zach said, probably a better balance here of still getting some interesting restarts, but not the chaos that it would often divulge into with the more clumped restarts. But again, back to kind of what do we even want as race fans? I don't know. I think it's so split too, and I think it's hard because obviously, you can blame it on the casual fans. Like, well, they just want to see a bunch of wrecks and a bunch of tight racing. They don't know about the strategies and the behind the scenes stuff and the talent and stuff. And it's like, okay, well, also I'm sitting there. I'm like, that's not a whole lot going on. It's like, I don't know. So I think it's hard because, again, we say we want this stuff and then we see it and we're like, this is kind of boring, actually. I'd rather have them kind of wrecking a little bit more,
Right. So it's like where we want. And that's where, you look at our, if we want to use the Gluck poll as some sort of rating, the first year with stage cautions is the best scored year. Easy. It's like in the 80s, and last year's 72 and this year's 50. So of the Gen 7 era, well, even of just all of our COTA races, which is 4 now, the best one was stages. So I think it's fair to say that fans, as much as they say they hate stages, they like the cars being grouped back together. Now, you could make an argument that you can group the cars back together without stages if you have cars that are hard to drive and actually getting drivers to like self-spin and wreck and get into situations. You could make that argument. I also wouldn't mind, say we live in a world where we go stageless again. Maybe NASCAR is a little more quick to throw a yellow. I don't think that would be the worst thing on road courses. If we lived in a stageless world, if we're having stages, I don't want that. But if we're living in a stageless world where you let strategy develop and all that stuff, maybe they get a little quick to throw the yellow. I don't know.
Was this? Have we had the whole blue flag thing before? I can't even remember now.
What do you mean?
Like the localized cautions.
That's not blue flag. Blue flag is
no, but they said they said they would wave blue flags in the areas where there was that's what they said on the broadcast.
Did they really?
Oh,
I didn't catch
Pretty
that.
sure they said they waved blue flags as like a localized caution to warn drivers of a wreck up ahead.
Really? I didn't know that.
But I guess flag color aside, is this the first time we've had localized cautions? I think
so. Like I know,
I feel like it's not, but
that we didn't have them before.
I mean, it's not really a local yellow. Like, isn't a local yellow at least like
is it just warning?
F1 and
blue.
Stuff. Yeah, local blue. Isn't like another series like it's actually like a slowdown, like you have to go a certain pace speed.
You
Or a
can't
certain
pass
speed.
in Formula One and stuff. Like if
Is
there's a
that what it is? You
localized
can't
delay, you
pass.
can't pass. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
But
The
it's
rules
still
were-
like where we've had incidences on track that haven't resulted in full track cautions. Like I'm sure we've had spins and stuff in the past where we haven't thrown the whole caution, but I wonder if that added to it too. Again, if this was the first time we've had them, or then we didn't get as many full course yellows that didn't bunch everyone up again, which again is the action we love to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear anything about that, but sort of what is something we've harped on before. What I think can make these races more exciting without necessarily just having crazy crashes and all that stuff is just the broadcast. The broadcast needs to do a better job at telling the story and showing what's going on. I mean, I was watching friggin' Corey LaJoy like has like some sort of spin and the camera cuts away like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see him barreling, which like on one hand, it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, you already have the command, you already have it queued up to switch cameras.
Go back.
So like you can't exactly. Like maybe you can't react that quick, but like just go right back. Like
wait,
hold on, go right back. Like I don't care how quick of a cut it is. Like just cut it right back.
Right.
Instead they don't even mention it on the. I feel like they were like, oh, and Corey looked like he's getting a little loose there going in the
bent toe leg of Corey LaJoy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They're talking about his toe. I'm like, okay, like, can we please see what's happening? It just felt like we missed everything. And there's even tweets about like, oh, who was it? Briscoe ran out of gas on the last lap, along with several other drivers apparently, but Barry pushed him back to pit road, which just completely missed by the broadcast. Which again, maybe not the most interesting thing, but at least put a camera on it for 5 seconds and tell us what's happening. But
did you guys know there was fuel issues at all?
No idea.
No,
I know it was close.
Yeah, Byron comes around and starts doing burnouts. I was like, oh, he's got enough fuel. That was an issue, and then it was like you hear all these drivers. Oh yeah, we were saving fuel, and it was.
I remember them saying
like,
something about fuel for Byron earlier on. Like, well, want to make sure he has enough fuel to go the distance, like fuel him up, whatever.
The only one I heard them actually
that I'm running out.
Actually mentioned about running out was Bowman. I think they were to your point, Drake. I think they were saying Byron might be saving a little bit, like because they were talking about Bell ketchup. Why was Bell ketchup so quick? Oh, maybe Byron saved a little bit, saved fuel. Then the only one I remember them saying about actually saving was Bowman. But yeah, nobody else. Everybody else they're fine.
Yeah. Like that could have made it a better race. Like if you made me on edge, like, hey, these guys are really close on fuel. They're saving. Maybe that's why Byron's running slow and Bell's gained 12 freaking seconds on him. But no mention. Like, I don't know, man. This Fox broadcast team. But
so bad.
It is. It's so bad. But Byron wins. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say on the note of Fox, one thing that really pissed me off is I think we're like 15 laps ago, maybe even 10 laps ago. Come back from commercial break. They're like, you know what? This is the perfect time for, as Byron's kind of getting chased down. Let's show an interview of Kevin Harvick interview. Was it Denny Hamlin?
Yeah, I think so.
This is the perfect time to plug this. Whenever there's finally action towards the end of the race, let's play this now. You can catch this whole interview on Kevin Harvick's podcast. Okay, like why? Like I was like, what? I'm like, did I black out for 10 laps? And I'm like, and this is after the race. Like, what happened? And then they cut back. I was like, why? Like, there were so many dead moments.
It's a pre-race thing or something.
Pre-race, even throw it in like
stage caution,
middle of stage 3, beginning of stage caution, even like 15 laps into stage 3, whatever. I don't care if it's during the race, if it's during a boring part, like whatever. It's a minute-long clip. Who cares? But in the last actions of the race, I was like, why on earth did y'all think this was a good idea? Ridiculous.
So
ridiculous.
And it wasn't even short. Like if it was a quick little cut,
it was a long segment.
Dude, it was. Like it was probably a lap's worth at least. And
I thought at most it was going to be like Kevin Harvick asks Denny a question and he gives like a quick little soundbite. Like a 10-15 second thing. Check out more of this.
No. It was like half the freaking interview.
And they do that stuff all the time. What drives me nuts is sort of along those lines, but they'll do like they really like to do it in qualifying and stuff. Like a driver will be out there running laps, and they'll take up the entire screen with like his stats or something like that. It's like, why? Show me
another
what's
car on
going
track.
on.
Yeah.
Well, it's just one car on track. It's not racing anybody.
We really want to show off our giant cartoons and our cool animations. Like, Jesus, like they're just so bad, dude. It's
And Bob
Yeah.
Pockrass superimposed on a animated car. That's what we want to show.
Hey,
yeah,
man,
love it.
we love Bob. I'm just saying.
Nothing against Bob.
Don't love
Everything
Fox.
against Fox.
Yeah, I got nothing good to say about Fox, and we all know that. But
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we're left to this weird world of we want a certain thing, like we want to see hard racing and long race and strategy and this, that, and the other thing. But in order to have that stuff, you need a broadcast that's capable of telling you the story and what's
Right.
going on. It's the same thing I harp on all the time. Tell the story. Tell the story. That is your job. Make it interesting. Make it exciting. But I
I'm
think
pretty sure. Good.
I'm just going to wrap it up by saying I think they themselves lean on wrecks and big dramatic moments so hard. Like that's the selling. If that's not going on, it's boring. And they give that impression by not having much to talk about.
And just being checked out. I'm pretty sure I heard a beer can open at some point.
Oh, you always do. I'm sure.
yeah.
Something.
Well, my thing is they try to manufacture, some drama, but it's not even good manufactured drama. It's like I don't give a shit about that. Like, just go back to show the cars on track and please not be zoomed in. And I don't give a shit about that kid in turn 1.
Yeah.
But it's just, I know other people were mentioning it this week, just the zoomed in shots on cars. Man, it's a road course. We want to see that car 3 or 4 wheels off the ground when they're making a turn. That's what I want to see. Zoom out, show that, show some, door-to-door banging through the S's, show something.
Yeah.
They just have no clue what a fan wants to see. And then you go to this broadcast booth, which is just stale, in my opinion. I mean, Clint's awful. Mike just seems to have lost that passion. Harvick's kind of a breath of fresh air, but when you're sitting next to 2 turds, you're going to stink.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Come on.
Harvick's the only one of that booth you can keep. I think Harvick's the only one you can keep at this point.
Yeah.
He's good.
Right.
He's very analytical. He's very
we shit on Fox enough every week.
Yeah.
We can move. I think
we're gonna move on.
Last week.
We'll
every
move
week
on. It's the same thing. We're shitting all over Fox, but they
suck.
It.
Anyway, thing.
Right.
Yeah, no. One thing.
So, like
one thing I
said,
wanted, not Fox related. Last thing I wanted to say, Zach, you made a comment about if we trust the Gluck poll. My issue with the Gluck poll is that it's in the vacuum of Twitter, which is largely an echo chamber of everyone having the same opinions. And if you're wrong, you get blasted, or if you disagree, you get blasted for it. So I put a lot of grains of salt on that Gluck poll.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just like someone says it's bad and then everyone agrees, then suddenly. But I don't know.
Before you say anything, Zach, Austin, what'd you vote?
I voted yes. Just because I thought there was at least some strategy in there, and I didn't think it was like the worst race. I think it was the most boring.
Zach.
So
I think
Zach,
I voted
vote?
Pretty sure I voted yes.
What'd you vote, Andrew?
Okay. I voted yes. I did. Like,
look at that.
Was
talking of echo chambers.
I know. I said it wasn't a banger.
We're the echo chamber now.
I wasn't excited by what was on TV, but my thing is, I did see people that were actually at the track that said that there was a lot of side-by-side action going. I know the next gen is not good at road courses. And what we saw is, Bell drive 12 seconds up to the leader and possibly a shot at winning. The possibility of a good race was there. Yeah. Fox didn't show it. And we're also, cut short by 1 lap or a bad pit strategy. We don't know which one. And, it could have been a good race. So I voted yes. And I knew people are just going to shit on it for what it was.
Yeah. Mine was almost an intention, like I would have voted like 50-50 right down the middle. But I think that I knew people were going to vote no just because of the lack of cautions. I was like, it kind of lead me towards a yes. Like I'll at least kind of try to balance this out a little bit. I didn't think it was the worst, but I think it was like very mid. But what leaned me towards yes was knowing that there were going to be people that voted no just because of like, no cautions or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Grain of salt.
Yeah, it's funny though you say that about everybody having the same opinion, but I think this poll
right, someone's divided.
Yeah, everybody's actually divided on it.
Right.
But no, yeah, 100%. You can't And again, like there's so many things that affect that poll that like, I mean, who wins matters, right? Like
Right.
you could have the exact same win, put Chase Elliott, or exact same race, but Chase Elliott wins versus Denny Hamlin winning, and you're gonna have like a 9-point swing.
Yeah.
So
I think I think my echo chamber more so. I mean, we treat it like it's the whole NASCAR population. Really, it's a very small portion
small
of the NASCAR
segment.
population that's on Twitter,
Mhm.
on Twitter consistently enough to really know who Jeff Gluck is, on Twitter consistently enough to see that poll come up and to vote on that poll. So I feel like we can't, not that any of us are saying to take it as gospel, but it is a small portion of the population. It's not a good sample size for everyone out there. I think we see that with the decisions NASCAR makes. Twitter is all like, why would we ever bring back stage cautions on a road course? And then NASCAR brings back like, NASCAR's not listening to the fans. I'm like, I think they are listening to the fans. They're just not listening to the 20 people you follow on Twitter who disagree with it. I think that, I think they're like we even mentioned earlier, it's like, I think they're listening to the fans who are like, this is boring because now they're not bunched up at all during the race. So, whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But, I think that
31,000 votes. I don't know what that means for a sample size, but that's how many voted.
I mean, compared to 1.6 million views.
Yeah, that's quite
you know what I mean? Like, or however many views we got this Sunday. Like, yeah, it's a lot.
I think it was 3.1 mil.
Yeah. So what? 1%? Like,
there you go.
1%.
Everything to base the future of NASCAR on, right there.
Yeah. Right. Which I'm not saying you need like a 50% sample size, but 1%, like, I don't know. Statistically, I don't think
somebody who understands statistics better than I do would tell you the sample size you need to have.
Right, exactly. Maybe 1% is all you need whenever but it's also that, I mean, there's that principle in statistics that the more votes you get, the closer you're going to get, or the more results you have, the closer you're going to get to the truth of the result or whatever. And so 1%, I don't think is a great thing to go off of. And again, I'm not saying any of us are saying that. I think we're quick to take those polls and be like, well, this race sucked because Gluck's poll said it sucked. And it's like, well, 1% of the population who watched the race said it sucks. So I don't know.
Well, and to your point, there's a lot of things that can like direct the vote too. Like, I mean, we talked about it at Phoenix, I think.
The winner.
Where the drivers were all saying that nothing's different in this car. Like you saw that all over Twitter at Phoenix. People were saying, oh, I feel the same. You can't pass. So I think everybody wanted to go into it saying, fuck this. So
and then Bristol, since we didn't get that, we're talking about that with Bristol, we didn't get to hear drivers complain about it at practice where this tire falls off too quick, then we're going and hating it. Whereas instead we got it just surprised, like, oh shoot, they are blowing tires at 40 laps. This is wild.
Right.
I think, and then the winner too, we talk about all the time, like, well, people are just voting no because Denny won or Kyle won or whatever. So there's a lot of sways, like you're saying.
Yeah, it's certainly a grain of salt kind of thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've mentioned it. Obviously, William Byron won. I can't talk. William Byron won. Yeah.
Woo.
And Andrew drank whiskey.
The alcohol's getting to me. And honestly, I want to give a shout out to my boy Caleb, because every time I see this guy, he talks NASCAR and he's a William Byron fan. And now, why does that matter? So I saw him Super Bowl Sunday, right? Drank. It's like, oh yeah, man, William Byron, he ran really good last year. I wish he could get a win. Daytona 500. Saturday, I'm out for my birthday. He's there. Yeah, man, William Byron, he started off really good at Daytona. He's been struggling since. COTA win. Like, this guy, he's on. I need to listen to him. Like, I was sitting there Saturday night drunk, and it was like, I should put a bet in on that, and I didn't. Now I'm like, damn. But Caleb, good call. You called this race. But William Byron won. I think he had the best car over the day. I think Bell had the second best car, and I think if he had better strategy, he wins that. What do you think, Zach?
I think if he has a better pit crew, he wins that. That first pit stop was 19 seconds. It cost him 5 spots. Like, that's tough. Because I was watching, I saw on Twitter, Letarte and who's that other guy? Joey Logano's old crew chief. They like review a lot of stuff on NASCAR's Twitter. It's pretty good stuff if you ever get a chance to listen to it. They're really obviously knowledgeable. But they're like going over what all went wrong and everything like that. It's like 5-6 seconds and he lost like 5 spots, like 5-6 seconds longer and he lost 5 spots on the track. So it's like, if that doesn't happen alone, I think he wins the race. And then I think their second pit stop of the day, because they only did 2 stops. If that was a normal, I think that was like 2 seconds slower than Byron or something. So it's like, if that was a good pit stop, they win. It's just
If he would have driven faster on track, it would have been a win. If
he was driving the wheels off. Did you see some of he was sideways? He was running to Kyle Larson. Love that.
What do you think about Gibbs racing him?
I mean, it's whatever. Teammates don't necessarily have to pull over and give you the spot, but I think if that's Hendrick, it does. I think if that's a Hendrick driver, 2 Hendrick drivers chasing somebody else, I think that does happen. Because I think that's what makes Hendrick and everybody else is their ability to work together so well. They are the big corporate NASCAR team. They understand all that. So I don't think Ty is expected to pull over and let Bell by, but I mean, you'd think if he's thinking about my family's team, this is my team, I want my team to win, maybe he would, but whatever. It's his choice. I just hope if one of the other teammates don't let him by when he's run somebody down, he doesn't get all pissed off about it.
Yeah, I agree. Like the team orders shit, like on a road course, mixed opinions. I don't think it should happen, but I mean, maybe Bell would have won. I don't know.
I think it would have been Gibbs's best shot at a win if he lets Bell by, because Gibbs wasn't chasing down Byron. He was holding that 3.5 second gap, whatever it was. His best shot is for Bell to get up there, race Byron, and either slow him down, or maybe the two of them get into a little tussle, and he's able to take advantage.
I mean, that's what we saw on Saturday. We saw SVG and Hill get into it, and Larson go by him. Mm-hmm. So it could have happened. I mean, and then COTA a couple years ago, the whole AJ Allmendinger and Bowman pool shot, that could have happened. We don't know,
right?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just one of those things. But I mean, I don't know. It was an underwhelming race to me. Let's just start there. Like the other 2 races were good. This was underwhelming. In my mind, like we said, we all voted yes, but I think it comes down to the package. Like this car needs to be better at this track. I said it. I'd like better tires. I'd like better more horsepower. It's just, I don't know, package issues to me.
Yeah.
So I see in our notes here, foreign guys getting turned.
Yeah, they were.
I'm guessing, was that a Joe thing?
No, I did that one. Kobayashi.
Yeah, it was, but it was just
to read it verbatim. But the guys,
but he's the only one
visiting. Well, I mean, I feel like SVG was around it. Like if they were making someone else was complaining about him this race or whatever. But I think that Kobayashi got dive bombed, and then was it Williams or whatever, like just hooked him.
Stenhouse.
Yeah, Ricky. Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I think that I saw that. I feel like the guy's just not super welcoming to that, which is whatever. But it's also like, we have these guys trying out our sport. Why are we gonna
second time
for passing you? Come on, Ricky. Gosh,
second time Ricky's cleaned out Kobayashi.
Yeah,
he did it at Indy last year.
Yeah, that's right.
We've completely cleaned him out.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Ricky's got going on, but I don't know. He's either got a problem with Kobayashi or he has absolutely no clue what he's doing on a road course. I can see either case. To be honest,
it's both.
I can see either one or both. So yeah, I don't know. I did think it was funny how Kobayashi got him back though. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it looked cool.
Yeah,
because like he spun him out and then he just gooses it and tags Ricky and spins Ricky too.
Yeah. I think it happened twice though, didn't it? Throughout the race.
Barry got him
twice.
I don't know about Ricky and Kobayashi, but Barry got him later. I don't really know what Barry was getting him for either. I didn't really get that. Unless something else happened before that, but from the clip I saw, it was a dive, sure, but he never hit him. So I don't know why Barry cleaned him out. Wasn't sure what was going on there.
I don't know. Maybe it was just like, hey, welcome again to NASCAR. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so the only other things that I really got are the Kyle Busch getting mad at Christopher Bell. And now, Zach, you were a big fan of both.
Yes, I am.
What are your emotions here?
Honestly, I got to put it on Kyle more than Bell because I think looking at the line, if I'm Bell and I see Kyle going out wide, because Kyle was letting Reddick by. He was he was doing one of two things. He was either letting Reddick by, or he was going to try to cut low and come out underneath Reddick and get him on exit. But whatever the case, he was super wide into one. So if I'm Bell, I'm thinking he's letting Reddick by and is just going to take the outside line. And if he does that, there's room for Bell to stick to the inside like where he was and get by. But then Kyle changes his line and does that like late low apex and just hits him. So it's like he was giving up a position and just wasn't aware of where Bell was, I think. Or I don't know, wasn't aware that Bell was within striking distance or that close. So I don't know. I got to put it on Kyle more than Bell.
Man, I was really hoping we'd be on different pages here, but no, we're on the same page. Like, same thing. Like, you slow down so much and go so wide to let Reddick by, which, thank you. I'm a Reddick fan. But you can't just cut back across and expect nothing to happen. Like, he was really wide. Like, he's all the way over to the right, trying to go all the way to the left. And, okay, yeah, he's trying to do a crossover. There's no way he's doing a crossover on Reddick. Like, he was still be 2-3 car lengths behind. Like, he was slow.
Yeah, I think he was just going to try to come out right on Reddick's bumper and try to get his speed up from that exit. But
yeah,
Bell was there. I mean, I don't think if Kyle takes the normal like second line, I don't think Bell ever touches him.
Agreed.
So I got to put it on Kyle, unfortunately. Yeah. Now, spinning Kyle Larson out, that was Bell, and I don't have a problem with it.
Oh, 100%.
I'm okay with it.
I saw somebody on Facebook. Kyle Busch is doing what Kyle Larson should have done. It's like, Kyle Larson ain't gonna do shit. Let's be honest.
No. That's my favorite thing about Kyle Larson fans is they act like he doesn't do it constantly. I saw somebody one of my boomer of the week picks was gonna be I forget who it was, but is it like Bell reckons somebody like he does every week? Like what?
When
does Bell wreck anybody?
Yeah.
Bell is like the quietest guy in the garage.
There was a couple times at Daytona where he was aggressive and got somebody a couple times. I think like some aggressive pushes and stuff like that. But other than that, I think generally he's not getting into anybody.
Yeah.
So whatever. It's just fine.
Yeah, apparently this second time he's gotten a Busch. I don't remember the last COTA where apparently he spun him out, but Kyle wasn't happy. I mean,
no, which is kind of awkward because they're friends.
Yeah. I mean, Kyle had him as a driver, right? Christopher Bell was a
yeah, I think that's why Bell was so like caught off guard because like one, they're friends because Bell helps with Brexton do a bunch of his dirt stuff. They were at not the Chili Bowl, Tulsa Shootout this year together doing stuff. And Bell does have a close relationship because he did come up through KBM and stuff like that. So I think he was like really caught off guard. So I don't know. I don't think Kyle does anything. I know Kyle said something, but Kyle's also not a dirty racer. People love to think Kyle wrecks everybody. There was that one incident with Ron Hornaday, but ever since then, Kyle's never really been a "I'm gonna fucking clean you out" kind of guy.
I mean, you hear it all the time.
Hard.
Yeah, you hear it all the time where Kyle's like very aggressive, but he's gonna race you clean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you see these other guys that aren't aggressive, but they'll just dump you,
right?
And I mean, Kyle's gonna race you like you race him, and I don't know. I feel like Kyle just has struggled most of this year.
I think that's it.
He also struggled throughout this race, and then that happened, and then the finish. I mean, he still had a good finish. I think it was just everything added together. I'm guessing Kyle's over it, right? They've already talked. They're back to being friends.
I'm sure. Right? I'm sure once he saw a replay, he'd be like, "Yeah, I left the door wide fucking open." Right? Because he's all the way almost off the track. You were wide off, and it's not like Bell came from turn 20. He was right there too. So it's whatever. I'm sure they'll work it out. And I think you're right. I think Kyle's just had a miserable start of the year.
All right, so we're about 45 minutes into COTA recap here, just for the Cup Series. Last thing we got, Justin Haley disqualified for being, I don't have the exact weight, but it was like 8 pounds under on the weight.
Was it weight? I thought it was right height. Oh, okay.
It was weight. I thought it was right
Wow.
height at first. I think that's what they initially said, but it ended up being weight.
Mm.
He was just too light.
I feel bad for him because, like,
I do too.
he's doing really good in that Rick Ware equipment,
But
and
he
every
is.
time it's like he gets fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he had what? Mechanical failure at Daytona, mechanical failure at Atlanta. And
Yeah.
I don't even remember after that, but like he's run well in a Rick Ware car. He was top 10. And I think they even said in an interview after the race that he could have ran better at COTA, but they didn't get all the fuel in the car in the pit stop. So he was saving fuel, and he still finishes in like 8th and then gets disqualified. Like, come
Jesus.
on, man. That feels so bad. Like,
He's gonna sneak a
I
win.
don't-
I wouldn't be shocked.
oh man, holy shit! Could you imagine a Rick Ware car
I put him
winning?
from what I'm seeing from him this year is like what I think I saw from Michael McDowell last year, like that sneaky speed.
I'd say 2 years ago for Michael McDowell.
But he won at Indy last year, and they didn't have the Penske Alliance yet.
They were still fast. Like, I
Yeah,
can't
but
remember
they
how
they weren't.
many weeks
You weren't
into it
going
they were
into
still
every
like,
week. You weren't going into every week saying Michael McDowell's going to win.
Right.
yeah,
It was a sneaky speed. Like he ran quick for FRM, and like we're saying Justin Haley's running quick for Rick Ware Racing, and then all of a sudden Michael McDowell shows up at Indy, and it was Indy, right?
Think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
getting
that's
Indy
where
and
he went.
Watkins confused. So I don't know. I could just see Haley sort of sneaking one.
I don't. It had to be at a super speedway. I don't see him winning there anywhere else. But I mean, dude's driving above his weight class here. Like, holy shit, that car should not be running that well. But yeah, it's the problem is, like we said, Daytona. He was running. I mean, he led laps at Daytona, I'm pretty sure, and then mechanical failure. In Atlanta, he was up top 5 at one point. Mechanical failure. It's not his fault, and it's just at one point I'm looking at this and it's like, holy shit, how dog shit is Colleague? And the other point I'm like,
Bad.
yeah, Rick Ware's still dog shit, but I mean, good for, I don't know, Justin Haley. Like, he's showing it. He needs like a good ride, but
Yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna get it even with what he's showing right now.
I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I think Rick Ware is sort of on the up. Like, I think the days of them sort of being the meme team might be a little bit behind them, and they're trying to actually do something now. You are seeing speed. I mean, before Justin Haley being as good as he wants would still be running 20 seconds behind. Like, he'd still be 4 laps down. So I think Rick Ware might be making some investment changes and actually trying to propel their program forward. Whereas Colleague, I think, is having serious issues, is my suspicion. So ultimately, does he get a great ride? I don't know, but I think moving to Rick Ware from Colleague was definitely the right move, which is something I never thought I'd say.
Do you think it would have been a better move to do a John Hunter Nemechek and go back to like trucks or Xfinity though?
I don't know, man. I don't know how many times that works. That's risky. And how old's Haley?
He's still young, man. Like,
I don't know.
That's
that move from John Hunter Nemechek, I feel is super underappreciated. Like that was a ballsy move and it worked out. Does it work for Haley?
He's 24.
I mean, he's got the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where are you going? What team are you falling back to? Because
Yeah.
John Hunter Nemechek also went back to KBM. Very good
I'm going
team.
for that Tricon. I'm trying to get into that one truck full time.
If it's open.
I mean, it's a part-time deal right now. They're throwing just random people in. So I don't know. That's what I'm aiming for if I'm in that situation, like running Rick Ware equipment. It is what it is. Like we've seen flashes and points of races. Bristol, he was up there actually. Now that I think about it,
Mm-hmm.
but was that a tire thing? Was that everybody else saving tires? We saw him fall back, but we don't know. Like, I don't know, man. We've seen flashes. Does he deserve another shot? I think so. I really do.
What's Drake's Haley take?
I think he is gonna keep driving.
He's gonna drive the car.
He's going to drive. No, I mean, I'd like to see him continue to do well. I mean, it's cool to see him out driving that. I mean, as much as I hate to see Rick Ware doing any better, it's cool to see at least him doing well. So I don't know. I could see him. Hopefully, teams take notice of that and maybe give him a chance in a ride that's not total dog. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I like his personality. I went to a little thing with him and AJ at Road America, and they were hilarious. Like, honestly, I could watch that all day. And I don't know. We've said it. We need personalities in NASCAR. I think Haley's a good one. I mean, he's a Cup winner if you look at it. But
For Spire.
I don't know. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what the move is here for him. He's showing skill. So
Trackhouse. He's taking scores.
Dude.
No, he's not. There's too many seats.
No, there's so many people in freaking Trackhouse's lineup right now. It's like, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quick sidebar. I think Suarez is still super in danger. Just want to say that.
I agree.
After what I saw from Zilich, yeah. And if Zilich comes out and does really well in the 88 in those final 4 races or whatever it is, Suarez better start sweating.
Yeah.
Like I said, after Suarez won at Atlanta, you got to make the final 8, if not the final 4.
Atlanta's a sort of so what win. You know what I mean? Like super speedways are sort of like, great, but
Yep. Yeah.
If that's your only win that you've had recently.
Right.
Anyway.
Yep. We're done with Richmond. COTA. We're done with COTA. Yeah, fuck Richmond too. Fuck that track. Let's just move on. We're gonna hit some news here quick, and then we'll get on to Richmond. NASCAR purchases Winston-Salem Incorporated, the lease owner of Bowman Gray Stadium, through 2050.
All-star race.
Yep.
Be cool.
Yeah. I mean, Bowman Gray is obviously one of these big short tracks that you hear almost weekly, usually because of fights. But I mean, it's a known track. I loved it when the trucks ran there back in the day. So I'd love the trucks to go back there. Maybe they will. I don't know. I like this move. It pretty much says that Bowman Gray is going to be a track for a while, which I think I heard some people mentioning that they could sell it here and make it, condominiums or something. So good for Bowman Gray. All right. The Hendrick Motorsports announcement last week that we talked about, and we all speculated a whole junior to North Wilkesboro.
Boy, were we disappointed.
Yeah, that was a fucking lie. It's just a boring Chase Elliott paint scheme.
Classic.
That's it. Yeah.
Cool.
Big letdown. Yeah.
I hope they drop Joe's diecast.
Ty Dillon to drive the 16 Collie car for 5 races.
Yep. For money. They either he's bringing sponsorship or he'll drive the car for 12 cents. One or the other. Or both, maybe.
I'll drive it for 10.
There you go.
You know what? I'll pay you 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's either paying for the ride or basically driving it for free. That's that.
Yeah, he's paying for it, let's be honest. Goodyear tire test at the repaved Sonoma. We're getting Josh Berry, Ross Chastain, and Truex.
Hopefully it falls off.
That's what I'm hoping is they just watch this race and goes, fuck, we need to have a fall off on this tire. The other thing I'm taking away is those are good names to remember for betting when we race Sonoma. Yep. Also, the picture of Sonoma in the spring is beautiful. But we can't race there.
Nope.
During the spring.
Apparently not.
Yep. It's not on the West Coast or anything.
Swap the Bristol and Sonoma dates.
Yeah. Moonshine. Can't talk again. Moonshine Cave discovered under North Wilkesboro front stretch stands. That's kind of cool.
It's like the most NASCAR thing you could possibly have.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm just trying to figure out how you just now discover this, though. Like,
after all,
so much work.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. For like the last 2 or 3 years, this place has just been like completely renovated. All this shit, you just now find it.
So awesome.
But yeah, yep. I don't know. I honestly turned it into some like history thing. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Richmond. Let's hop into Richmond next week.
Woot. Easter.
Yep. It is Easter Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 series are racing there.
Are we
Xfinity Cup.
butthurt about them racing on Easter? I could give a shit.
I don't care.
I see people in the industry make a big deal about it, but I don't really.
So here's my thing. Richmond is closer than Bristol, right?
Mhm.
We were really butthurt about it last year. The teams can go home and be at home. I think I heard they're not opening the Cup garage until like Saturday late, like 8 o'clock at night. So, yeah, it's just maybe it's not 8, maybe it's a little earlier, but still, like they get to spend time with their families. In my mind, it's Easter.
For the record, it's not closer.
It's not.
I thought you were wrong when you said that. So I just maps that. No, it's about an hour longer.
I'm from Iowa, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, yeah, don't speak on Charlotte things, Midwesterner. All right.
All right. Well, I'm wrong. They're not closer, but they can still go home if they want to. I feel like
they'll be all right. I mean, they play football on Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Right.
Yeah.
We race on Sunday anyway. It's like, I don't know. I get it's like a very special Sunday, but
yeah, Sunday night though. I mean, you're not searching for Easter eggs at night.
Yeah.
Unless if it's special Easter eggs or something. I don't know. Glow in the dark Easter eggs.
Where are they doing those hunts at? I'm in.
Which one's got the shots in them?
Night race, though. I'm excited for a night race. I feel like it's been a while since we had a Richmond night race. So
yeah, same tire as Phoenix, though.
Race is probably going to suck. So go into it knowing that the race is going to suck. And don't expect Fox to show you passes. Watch the ticker. That's what I do. Because I, as a Thiebel fan, he's had to make a lot of passes in the last few weeks, have noticed that it changes all the time. Fox never shows it, but the order's changing. So don't watch whatever Fox is showing you. Just watch the order change because it changes a lot, actually.
Yep. I think the older drivers are going to kind of prevail here.
I would think.
I Bristol, we had the older drivers finish top 3. I'd say Denny, Truex, maybe Kyle, maybe Brad make it up there. My money's on Truex this week. Any other thoughts?
No, just excited. Manage your expectations. That's the only thing I would say about going into Richmond. We know it hasn't been great, so go into it knowing that.
Yeah, I'm just hoping for a good race.
It's been better in this car, but still, it's Richmond, so still low expectations.
Yep, that's all I got. Kill count, I got nothing.
Yeah, no real kills this week.
I guess fair.
Yeah, there's no real kills. Nothing really meets our criteria, so we're just going to move on. Boomer of the week. We've kind of mentioned a few things, but my favorite page, block comments. So we're going to move on from that. Survivor.
I don't want to talk about this. Joe is just shitting on us like crazy.
I think he should be disqualified. He didn't make it to this week. Just remove that score.
He wins again with Alex Bowman, who finished 4th. Like all of a sudden, Alex Bowman decides, "Oh yeah, I know how to drive race cars," and finishes 4th. I had Reddick, who was 5th, and then who is it? Drake is next with Austin Cindric, the road course ace, who finished 19th.
Yep.
And then Andrew with Daniel Suarez, who finished a solid P31. So Joe won, so he picks last. That means Andrew, you're first. Who are you taking?
I already said it. I'm going Truex this week.
Truex. Drake, who you got?
Kind of a burner, but he did well here in the second race last season. Gonna go with old Ryan Preece.
Ryan Preece. He's a short track guy.
Yep.
I'm going Denny. Denny's very good at Richmond. He did pretty good last time we were here, and I think the spring race he did good too. But I think he had a bad pit stop or something, and that screwed his finish. So we'll see. We'll see how he does. And then Joe did message me. He's going to take old Chris Buescher, last year's winner, well, fall race winner. So that's it. We gotta. I hope his motor blows because we gotta get. We gotta catch Joe.
Got some points to make up here.
He's 9 points ahead of me. I'm
I should just bet Buescher now. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, really. God.
Apparently. Why are you doing bet picks? It should be Joe.
Dude, I don't get it. Speaking of bets, Drake, have you looked at the lines at all?
I was looking at him just a minute ago. Nothing crazy standing out. I mean, Denny did do well here both races. I think he's got the worst odds though, technically. But
yep,
where are the if I can
plus 425
said
to
that
win
before we did Survivor.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I just didn't pick him because I knew if I picked him, he would probably screw it up, and I want to save him for a super speedway. I mean, if you want, I guess I can just look at what our picks were for this race. I mean, you got, let me see. Gosh, you got to really scroll down for some of these. I mean, Buescher's plus 1,100, MTJ's plus 600, Priest is plus 10,000. So I mean, he hasn't done horrible. I mean, even a top 5 for him's plus 1,200. So I feel like maybe some long shot picks you could throw in there.
Plus 350 top 10.
I mean, that's not bad. I don't hate a Denny pick. I mean, I definitely don't hate a Buescher pick. I mean, if he's track he does well at.
Yeah.
But
I think the Buescher one's kind of like my Gibbs one last week, where I'd like to see it, a little bit higher. Like right now, it's sitting at plus 1,100. If
15.
it was around plus 15, yeah, I think I'd be a little more inclined to be like, fuck yeah. Maybe an after qualifying bet on Buescher.
Right.
But I mean, right off the bat, when the lines popped up earlier today, I got on Gibbs plus 1,200. It's already been hammered to plus 850.
850, yeah.
I find it really hard to go against Gibbs right now as far as what this kid's doing. Like, he's had a great season. He's going to win a race. We say it every week, or at least I do. He won an Xfinity here, so he knows Richmond, knows how to get around. 1,200, I like it. 850, pretty hesitant. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's rough there. Another bet I liked right off the bat was Josh Berry plus 10,000.
Damn.
And everyone's like, SHR sucks. SHR slow. Kevin Harvick won at Richmond. Josh Berry finished second last year in the 9 car. Like, is it possible? Yeah. And at plus 10,000.
Yeah, he's down to 6,500 now, though. So that's where I'm like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I mean, maybe like $1 or $2.
Yeah, I'd throw a couple bucks on it. And that's what I did. I mean, I did like a quarter unit bet here.
Right.
So it's not like I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going all in on Berry. I'm throwing,
Put the mortgage on it.
He's a lock. No, that's not how it is. But at those odds, like, throw a couple bucks on it. If it hits, like, that's what I did a couple weeks ago at Bristol, and he was up there. And what was it, like plus 25,000?
Yeah.
Like, I think I threw $2 on it. That would have been an awesome win. But his top 10 at plus 325, I feel like still a good bet.
Yeah. I think that's just the fun but also crappy thing about NASCAR betting I'm learning is that, I mean, any win pick's going to be a positive, and so can really cash out. But picking the guy that's going to win, pretty rough.
Good
so
luck.
Yeah,
you got to kind of lay out a few and hope to make a couple bucks off like a decent win because you're breaking even with all the other bets you put to win. But I don't know if you hit something good, like, plus 10,000 long shot win, then it's not bad.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything over. Honestly, McDowell Daytona plus 3,300 was the highest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And thank God I was on that. But I mean, my weekly bets is like 2 or 3 outrights, maybe one long shot, and then the rest are
Right.
gonna be like head to heads or like a top 10 or something like that.
Yeah. I think I won
But-
like $36 on Chevy winning last week on like a $10 free bet or something. So I don't hate those either, especially, I mean, you got a kind of a 50-50 shot now with how Ford's been running. But yeah, I agree. I feel like that's what I did last week. 'Cause I had a couple kind of like long shot ish wins because I was using free bets, and then just threw a couple safeties down, like a William Byron top 10, which, you know, obviously in hindsight, I should have picked him, but except with any bet. But anyway, not a bad way to do it.
Yeah, like last week I had for the top Ford Busher plus 500. It paid out. Like, it's one of those bets where it's worth the odds. And like this week, top Toyota, Ty Gibbs plus 500, Truex plus 500. Would you pick either one or the other? Like, how would you look at that? I think I'm going to bet both. Honestly.
Yeah, I was going to say put $1 on both. Put a little bit on both. And if one of them wins it, still cash out.
Yep, that's probably my plan.
It's called diversifying your portfolio. So
yeah, I mean, I was honestly looking at like, God, these other, like, there's not too many Toyotas, right? You got a really good shot if you bet multiple here, but I mean, there's 8 Toyotas, and is John Hunter going to get up there? Eric Jones, Bubba? No,
right.
So you're down to 5, and if you can hit, you know, one of the other ones, boom, done, right? But yep, that's all I got right now on my bets. If you want more, obviously I post my picks usually Sunday morning for the Cup race. Xfinity's Saturday morning. Picks by Fitz. Bam. I'll get it right. There it is. Yeah. But yeah.
Cool.
Other than that, you guys got anything else for this week?
Nope.
No.
Kind of a long podcast.
Thanks for hanging around, guys.
Yeah, it's a good one. We'll get Joe back next week, hopefully. And some good Richmond racing, hopefully. But on that note, we're done. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, thumbs up, comment, submit an OnlyFans. Shit, we have an OnlyFans.
Let's save it. Let's save it.
Save
we're
it.
at an hour 37. It's 11:15. I'd slept about 2 hours last night.
Yeah.
We'll
all right, we're
save that
saving
for
it for next week.
Thanks
Save
for
it for next
submitting
week.
one.
Go to our MySpace page. Check us
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our Zanga.
Yep.
Yeah.
On that note, see ya.
Bye.
I love you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Green White Checker Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. For more from the boys and the podcast, be sure to follow us on Twitter at the GWCpod for the podcast, at biggelstv for Zach, at shakendrake_TTV for Austin, at picksbyfitz for Andrew, and at J_Sully10 for Joe. Head over to thegwcpod.com to submit a question for our OnlyFans segment. Thanks again for listening, and we hope to catch you again next episode.
Football season may be over, but for frequency's sake still has you covered for all your sporting needs. Tune in every Sunday when the best professional wrestling podcast around, Cards Subject to Change, gets you caught up on everything inside the ropes. They won't miss a count with weekly analysis and interviews. More into auto racing? We've got a double dose for you on the track. Tune in to Fast Money with Rod Villagomez each week and win some money with the quickest bets in all of sports. Want more insight from Pit Row? Check out the Green, White, and Checkered podcast where they give their insight on everything happening on and off the track. Need your basketball fix? Points in the Paint has you covered with live shows every other week looking at everything in the association. Backed by popular demand, we have the return of The Payoff Pitch, FFSQC's baseball show, covering you on news around the MLB. If you're missing football, don't fret. Mark and Dan still have you covered in the football lounge. Missing Joe Winkle? Probably not, but he's still here talking sports on Educated Ignorance. Football season might be over, but we've still got you covered. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
For Frequency's Sake is brought to you by